Why does it seem like you spend most of your time in bed, lying down and not doing much lately? Are you someone who easily gets tired and doesn't feel like doing anything? Do you label this kind of behavior as mere laziness and nothing more? There's actually a lot of overlap between laziness and burnout that can make it difficult to differentiate between the two.
I hate the word laziness, to be honest, because of my past. My father used to call me lazy when I wouldn't understand math, but in fact, I was just very, very tired.
Burnout is a negative state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive stress and inability to cope with it. So with that said, here are 6 telltale signs that what you're experiencing right now isn't actually laziness, but burnout. Number 1, you feel disconnected from everything. Are you going through the motions of every day as if on autopilot? Is there a persistent feeling of being detached from your own self? If you're suffering from burnout, one of the things you might be experiencing but don't quite realize or understand is depersonalization.
I remember sitting in a bus in the morning, and I was like, I could see things, but I wasn't present. Like, I was feeling like, okay, it was like watching a movie, and I remember thinking, what is this body doing? Like, what is this body doing in this bus? Why is it going to the university? Why is it going like to classes? And I could not understand. Like, really, I had no purpose to go to do anything. And I was watching myself as if I was in a movie.
People experiencing depersonalization, most commonly those struggling with trauma, report feeling a strange sort of emotional numbness or emptiness, as if they were watching life from outside of themselves.
Oh my God, that's exactly what I was feeling.
They don't feel like themselves anymore. They don't feel engaged by anything, and they constantly struggle with the overwhelming sense of helplessness and inability to take back control of their lives. Number 2, you used to be motivated. Laziness is a character trait, and character traits tend to remain stable over time. A lazy person doesn't ever feel like exerting effort or applying themselves to things. But if you used to be self-motivated and high-achieving, often excelling in certain areas, and have only recently become exhausted, apathetic, and unmotivated, then it's more likely that you're suffering from burnout.
Wait, laziness is a personality trait, and personality traits don't change over time. I don't think that's true. Laziness is definitely not one of the big 5 traits in psychology. There is motivation maybe, but laziness is not one of them. That's true. Those don't change, but laziness is not one of them, so it must change. So people can become more lazy or less lazy depending on their life circumstances.
And not laziness like most people would think. Number 3, you used to be passionate. A clear difference between someone who's burnt out and someone who's lazy is that the former used to have things
Hey, the lazy one looks happier.
they were passionate about,
What? It looks like it's good to be lazy.
but may now be struggling to find interest or enjoyment in
I'm not
anymore.
sure if that's a really good distinction, though, because imagine if you've never been in a situation where you had a chance to feel motivated, and so it might not work, actually.
Whether it's a talent, a sport, or just your academic or professional performance in general, burnout can make it hard for you to do the things you once loved or felt passionate about. You might even come to hate or resent it because of how much you overworked yourself and pushed yourself to the brink because of it. Ouch. Number 4, you've become moody and irritable. Do you suddenly find yourself snappy and easily irritated? Do you often feel emotionally out of control nowadays and don't know why? Moodiness and irritability are common but often overlooked signs of burnout. So if you start to have trouble controlling your emotions, especially when it never used to be a problem for you, this might be the reason why.
Yeah, but you see, that's the problem. I think many people, they do have some kind of germ of that. And so they would not say, oh, I've never had this feeling before. Everybody have been like angry or sad. And so that's why people don't realize that this is not normal, because they're like, yeah, I'm angry, so shut up, But everybody gets angry.
Lazy people, on the other hand, are a stark contrast to this because they're often very relaxed, laid back, placid, and unaffected by things. Number 5, you've neglected your self-care. One of the most distressing warning signs that someone may be emotionally and physically burnt out is if you start neglecting your self-care and socially withdraw from others. There are concerning changes in your eating and or sleeping patterns. You stop making an effort to groom yourself or look good, and you tend to spend most of your time by yourself doing nothing because you're so easily exhausted by even the simplest of tasks. The difference between being burnt out and laziness are starkly in the fact that you weren't always this way.
So basically, the conclusion from this video is that if you've changed, that's the thing that you should consider. And this is kind of similar to cancer. If you've suddenly lost weight without trying to, most of people will be like, oh my God, you look great. And you're like, yeah, but I lost weight and I'm eating as I used to. Then you should go to see a doctor.
These changes happened gradually. Finally, but perhaps most importantly, something you should know about burnout is that it develops in stages. So all of the points mentioned before, losing interest and motivation, especially in things we used to love, feeling detached from yourself and disconnected from everything around you, socially withdrawing and neglecting your self-care, won't just happen overnight. Studies show that there are actually 5 major stages of burnout, each with increasing degrees of severity. The honeymoon phase, the onset of stress, chronic stress, burnout, and habitual burnout. Many people begin to experience symptoms as early as the second phase, when there is still a moderate amount of stress, but optimism, interest, motivation, and performance may already start declining. And by the time you reach the 5th and final stage, burnout has already become so embedded in your life that the persistent mental and physical fatigue become more intense and harder to treat, making you more vulnerable to developing depression and anxiety. Spotting the signs of burnout early makes it all the more easier for you to get help and recover from it. That's why it's so important to raise awareness about burnout instead of simply dismissing it as laziness, like most people tend to do. So if you or anyone you know may be suffering from mental or emotional burnout, please don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health care professional.
Wait, but you didn't say how to know. Wait, look. Yes, you see, most people replay this section.
Increasing degrees of severity. The honeymoon phase.
And what's the symptom? How do you know that you are in a honeymoon phase? I don't, come on, Psych2Go. You're like, yeah, there are 5 stages, but we are not gonna tell you the symptoms, so you can't know. And oh, anyway, guys. So in my life, I did experience burnout, and in my case, it's just yeah, basically, it's kind of like that. I don't know about honeymoon phase. Like, what is that? But maybe what they mean is that you feel motivated by something, by some kind of project, and so the difference between the lazy person and the burnt out person is actually in too much motivation in the burnt out person. Basically, it's like you have too much motivation to do something, and you like basically like, yeah, let's do this, push, as my friend used to call it, and then you just push yourself to the basically to collapse, and then you're like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I hate my life. Some kind of self-preservation kicks in. But the lazy person, they don't have motivation. So they don't have this kind of push. They're like, yeah, whatever. Everything is good. But the burnt out person will not feel everything is good. Well, so it's kind of like very, very easy to tell the difference. But then kind of, I don't know. Like, why would you compare such things? Like burning out and lazy, they're not even similar. Like, yeah, the person doesn't do, but then you're asking like, so how are you today? And the lazy person is like, yeah, man, it's all good. The burnt out person will not say that. They're like, oh, no, sorry, I can't talk now. I'm busy. That's what the burnt out person would say. But how do you find this? Like, still don't know. In my case, if you feel tired, like actually now, I am feeling a little burnt out now because these past 2 weeks, it's been crazy busy. I've been busy at work, I've been busy filing taxes, and I've been busy trying to develop this channel. And so, like, I had no rest. And now it's Sunday, and I'm making this video instead of relaxing. Anyway, I'm gonna go for a walk. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.